the workload, what you're doing. I wonder if the overwhelm is about maybe the expectations you have of yourself, the expectations that your manager has of you.
The belief of I'm not good enough. Like I'm only good when I'm at my best, when I'm performing. Other areas of your life where you've given 40%. What's been the outcome of that? Like I was just smiling and nodding initially.
Welcome to the therapy floor. And welcome, Ritz.
Thank you.
Back to the floor. I'm saying welcome because it's been a while since we filmed.
It has been a while.
I feel like it's been 6 weeks.
No.
Hasn't it? No?
A month.
A month, okay.
I think it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been on the floor. So welcome back to us both.
I've missed our space.
I have too.
I love what you were saying earlier. So just to give a bit of context, we've been been reaching out to people, haven't we, a little bit, just about like, how do we take this maybe to the next level? And then somebody suggested like changing the background or like having different backgrounds. And actually, like, I love what you said, which is so symbolic of our background, is when you go to therapy, like your background doesn't change week on week. And so we wanted to, I think, was it intentional? Or, was it intentional?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
The surrounding remains the same.
Yeah.
That remains grounding and safe and consistent.
Yeah.
So.
Because a lot of thought goes into a therapist's therapy room, I think, that maybe clients don't think about.
It does, Ritz. And this is something that I'm like now grappling with, because I've had an office and I'm now moving out of my office space and just working online again. But my home office, I don't have a home office like I used to. So now I'm like, okay, I need to recreate the frame, but I don't know what that's going to look like because I don't have a consistent space that I work in every day. And then the background changes. And I do notice that when my clients see that I'm in a different space, they're like, oh, where are you? And like,
you do get a comment on it.
Yeah, and the background isn't as like aesthetically like pleasing as I would have liked. And yeah, there's just like, it's different. And so so having that consistent space is really important, I think, for therapy.
Absolutely. It just adds another layer of trust and safety that we are bringing.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we've got a theme for these episodes today that we're filming. We've had some work ones come in.
Yeah.
So we thought, like, let's make it a bit of a
work therapy floor.
Should we go?
Yeah.
Let's go
for it.
Okay, so this first one comes in from a 27-year-old corporate baddie.
Ooh.
I love that they've written that. Just trying to, oh no, they haven't said their gender. So 27-year-old corporate baddie saying, ladies, can you help me? I'm feeling so overwhelmed with work. I work long hours ranging from 10 to 12-hour days. I find it hard to switch off at night because I'm aware of everything I need to get through the next day. I wake up around 3 or 4 a.m. and then toss and turn before getting back to sleep just before I need to wake up. I can't say I'm enjoying my work right now. My manager is demanding, but the pay is great. And I feel I need to do the hard graft now to get to where I want to be in my career. But I just don't want to explode in the process. What do I do?
Oh, I feel you. I feel you, corporate baddie.
What are you feeling?
I'm thinking that this is actually a really common dilemma that I come across. And I think it's great that you know that you're in a position where you are making a sacrifice and you are intentionally enduring or trying to endure a situation because you know that it's going to work out for the greater good, or you're in like you've got a destination in mind and you're aware of the cost it's going to take or the cost to get to your destination. So that's good that you're intentionally making that choice. Whereas I think that some people that I've worked with who are struggling with this scenario, which I feel is usually anxiety and stress, maybe a little bit, but maybe not so much burnout, but stress and anxiety, they feel like they don't know what they're doing it for. They don't know where they're going. They feel like they have no control or choice in the matter. So I think that's a good distinction here. But yeah, what's really like coming to mind initially is maybe there's a bit of anxiety about the workload, what you're doing, and I wonder if the overwhelm is about maybe the expectations you have of yourself, the expectations that your manager has of you, and just how to navigate that. Yeah. What's coming up for you?
Core beliefs.
Oh.
Yeah, it really...
Going right in there.
Right in there. So for me, I was just reading it again, kind of as you were talking when you were saying about stress and anxiety. And for me, I feel like the overwhelm it's definitely coming from that. But again, just going a little bit deeper, like what is the stress and what is the anxiety about? I think it's like the protection of a core belief, maybe something about having to prove oneself, not being good enough, or I'm only worthy if.
Yeah. Some rules for living maybe.
Yeah.
That are kind of kicking in.
Yeah.
If I do this, then I will.
Yeah.
If I work hard, then I will be successful.
Yeah.
Or then I will get a promotion.
Yeah.
If I meet my manager's demands, then I will be approved of.
Absolutely. So then I would flip it and I would kind of want to know what's the worst case scenario. So what are you trying to protect by staying up all night and not sleeping? And the way I would do that would be using like a technique that we call downward arrow.
Yeah.
So for example, if you didn't get the approval, if you didn't finish that project, if you didn't get the promotion, what does that say about you as a person?
Yeah.
And just keep going until you get to the place of I am.
Yeah.
And often, from my experience of seeing this in the therapy room, also my experience of it, of working in the corporate world, so when we worked with that bank, and I'd often do this type of work of doing the downward arrow, so many times the core belief was, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Or I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even I'm unlovable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if we've wondered about this on the podcast before, or whether we've just had a conversation, or whether I thought it. I wonder if the corporate world sometimes does attract that kind of, individual that has that core belief, or who has not even just that core belief, but has the drive to want to overcome that belief by working so hard.
It's high function anxiety, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
It's that I can function very, very well. And actually nobody would even probably realise that I'm unwell, like, so to speak, because like, even as you're saying, like, it's demanding but the pay is good. So I wonder if like what people are, also what you're maybe projecting, what people are seeing is that I work in this great job where the pay is good.
Yeah.
And so if the pay is good and the job is great, then actually nothing really else matters. How you feel doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does.
Because
really your body is talking to you. It's telling you something here.
Definitely. And I mean, that phrase that you put at the bottom there, I just don't want to explode in the process. I think that tells you everything you need to know, that this is not sustainable in the long run. So I think if I were in the therapy room with you, I would be thinking about, let's address some of these core beliefs about, who you think you are, and what you need to do in order to protect who you are, like you were saying.
Yeah. And some things might not change. So, for example, you might be in a job where you have to work long hours. Like, that's just a given. It might have to be 10, 12-hour days. My kind of thinking to you around that would then be, if we're looking at your core belief of I'm not good enough, then you're probably likely to be trying to give 100% in all of those 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
And so I'd invite you to think about, it's so unrealistic. So I would be inviting you to think about, well, if you can pick and choose like how much you're going to give, let's say within those time blocks, that some might be 20%, some might be 40%, some might be like 100%. And also at what's at stake in terms of like what's the thing that you're doing to need to perform or to need to show. I just wonder if when you give, let's say like 40%, whether that activates the belief of I'm not good enough. Like I'm only good when I'm at my best, when I'm performing, because that leads to bonus, pay rise, promotion.
Yeah.
And there's no way I could get all that by doing it at times at 40%.
Yeah. 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 I think that's a really good point. And maybe this is where you could kind of engage in a creative process with your manager here about what their demands actually are and what are they looking for and how are they judging your efforts. Are they judging it via the outcome, or are they judging it by your input or output, or how are they assessing this? How are you assessing that you're doing a good job? How are they assessing that you're doing a good job? And can you be creative about how you still do a good job, but like you were saying, maybe at 40% some days or 40% at some hours, or, can your definition of success be little bit more flexible and pliable?
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that's actually something that we don't think enough about for people who are high functioning, who are perfectionistic. They attach how they're feeling about it with the outcome. And even if someone is saying to them, you're doing a really good job, if they feel that they're not giving 100%, it doesn't matter. They're not doing a good job. When actually, can you detach how you're feeling about it from the reality of the situation?
How you're actually doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go back a bit and think about the times, and maybe not just at work, in other areas of your life where you've given 40%. What's been the outcome of that? How have people received that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think you would have given it maybe enough attention until now. So I think if you go back and give it some attention, that might illuminate some things for you to help you start maybe dismantling these rules for living.
Yeah.
And these beliefs that you have, and starting to form new beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Starting to consider whether you are willing to accept, I'm still good enough, and being good enough is not dependent on my output.
Yeah. And even deciphering what that output looks like, right? Because, I remember when I was studying for my undergrad and we had like these revision sessions or people that would help us to revise for exams. And they would tell us that you cannot effectively revise for like 10 hours a day. You can't do that. Your brain literally cannot handle that. So have sections, have like 90-minute sprints and have a break, then another 90 minutes or 2 hours of intense focus, deep focus.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you could also do the same in a very practical way about the work that you're trying to do. Are you just trying to get through the to-do list? Or do you need to think about actually what needs to be achieved? What can you work hard? Can you work smarter rather than harder, basically? And do you really need to be pushing through the list every single day and completing it all? Or actually, do you need to be prioritizing the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis?
I think what you said there about work smarter, not harder, is key to you. Like that should be your new mantra. That should be your morning mantra every day. Like high five yourself. Tell yourself that. Like, how can I be smarter about my day to day? Not push myself. I've got nothing to prove now.
Yeah.
I don't need to push myself, but actually, how can I be smart about what I'm doing? And, I'd maybe start a bit basic there, like time blocking your day.
Yeah.
Get specific, like as you said, rather than just pushing through that to-do list. Get specific. try not to take on too much at once, because then what's happening is, as you said, you're getting to the end of your day and you're not switching off. So I wonder if here we just talk about some, to us, or I'm using the word basic because I guess it is very, very stripping it back and taking it back to basics. But to you, I wonder if because it's become so complicated and complex in your head, it's not basic anymore. So I'd be really interested to know, like, how are you winding down before bed? What is your sleep hygiene like? What is your nightly routine with all these thoughts that you are having? Where are you putting them before bed? Are you actually just like collapsing and falling into bed with them? Or are you writing them down and putting them somewhere? Whether that be like in a journal or, I don't know, on your like work pad to-do list, or texting it to yourself, I don't know, however it might be. But how are you I often call it boundarying your day. So we talk about boundaries we have with other people, but I think we can also think about boundaries we have in different facets of our life. And I think I just mentioned like the mantra you might use to start your day. I encourage you to also come up with a mantra to how you might end your workday.
I like that.
How are you gonna signify to your brain
It's the end.
this is the end now?
Yeah.
And then start to think about how you nurture and nourish your body and your brain to relax, to let go, and to replenish for the next day.
Yeah.
Especially as your body is saying, I'm going to explode. I feel like you're going to war at work.
I know, literally.
Like this hard graft that you're not enjoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, come up, morning mantra to start your day, make it work for you, and an evening or end of day mantra to end your work day.
I like that.
And then jot it down. What do you need to do? Leave it there.
And I think it's key to do that actually at the end of your work day rather than just before you go to bed. I know some people would say, write down your to-do list before you go to bed. Like, take the thoughts that you're probably waking up with at 3 or 4 in the morning, instead of giving them a chance to come out unconsciously at night, put them down, write them on a piece of paper, which is great. But I would say don't do it right before bed. Have some distance. So I think if you are incorporating that wind down, like closing shop, end of work mantra and routine, maybe as you leave your desk for the day, write down, look, this is what has been achieved today.
Yeah.
These are the priorities for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or even these are the priorities for the week. I think that's really helped me actually.
Priorities for the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can get them from like Amazon and just lots of different places where you have like a weekly planner and you identify the priorities for that week, and then you break them down and you allocate them to different days, and you're constantly building on those priorities. So it doesn't feel like what I used to do was write like a to-do list and then I transfer it to the next day and write it the next day and the next day. And then
A week planner is good.
Yeah. And then I just get
have one of those.
disheartened. So maybe that could be part of the whole like winding down for the day, closing shop for the day, leave it on the desk. If your mind does wander to it in the middle of the night or even as you're going to bed, as it naturally would, because mindfulness is a skill and a practice, you have to you have to really work at it. Remind yourself, no, I know my mind is going there because that's what minds do, but I've already committed that to the tomorrow. It's already sorted. I don't need to think about it. It's already on paper. So when I wake up in the morning, we just go. And actually, I can relax now.
Yeah. Yeah. That planner then almost becomes your holding space. So if it does come to you, as you said, it's like, oh, but I need to think about it. Because if I don't think about it, I'll forget it and then I'll mess up and then I won't perform. But actually, you're looking for safety there. So I love that, because that planner becomes the safe pot.
Yeah. Yes. Rather than trying to hold it all in mind.
Yeah. Because your brain would explode.
Yeah, it would.
Not, what's the word I want to use there? Metaphorically.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to touch on was I want to come to gratitude. Now, the reason I want to come to that is...
Because you are the gratitude queen.
I'm the gratitude... I mean, it's thinking... I'm going to plug myself a little bit.
Do it, girl.
This is
Do
ours,
it.
so we can. This is it, you know, this is making me think of why I created my journal, my online journal, Reflect with Dr. Ritz, because people are like falling into bed overwhelmed and people are just like living life on autopilot, and I feel like that's what you're doing. So, but one thing I really picked up on, which is I can't say I'm enjoying work right now. It sounds like you want to enjoy work. It sounds like you know where you want to get to in your career, as you said at the start. And I also don't think that the alternative is to be like, right, I know I want to get to this place, so whilst I'm there, I just won't enjoy it until I get to that place. Because I think that's just going to put such a negative cloud over your head. And then you're going to put so much emphasis on reaching that goal, which I don't think is healthy, because you might then get to that goal and feel so empty. And it might be just such a shallow win for you. And so what I would be encouraging you to do is that even though maybe the theme is, I'm not enjoying work right now, try and come up with every evening, rather than what do I need to do tomorrow, as you end your day, what brought me joy today? What am I grateful for today? What has gone well for me today? And if you can just do 3 things every day, they can be tiny. They don't have to be big things. It can be tiny things. They also don't need to be related to work. But maybe if you try and maybe find one thing to do with work, just to keep planting that seed that, yes, even though I might be trying to tarnish it as really awful at the moment, there is some hope throughout my day. There is still some things that are sparking me and giving me light. And yes, I'm on this journey for a reason, because actually I do want this career for myself. This does bring me purpose. It does bring me value. So you can do that with my Reflect with Dr. Ritz, or you can just find a journal and, ask yourself 3 things every day. What am I grateful for?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be either or. It just feels like the end of that dilemma was like either or. Like it's really dark right now and it's going to get brighter.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a really important thing to keep in mind, because we've spoken about shallow wins before, and I thought at times we reflected on our training and come to the end of the training, and it wasn't a shallow win at all, because, oh my gosh, that was bloody hard work. It wasn't a shallow win at all, but I remember feeling like, oh, okay, it's done. Like I've been working so hard. I've had in mind that I wanted to be a psychologist since I was 16 years old, and now I'm here 10 years later, or 8 years later, 7 years later, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm here, and now I'm like, okay, now do I get to enjoy life? Now do I get to enjoy the work? And it was such I've got to get through, I've just got to get through. But if I had taken the time to be a bit more like, oh, let's enjoy the process and...
Process. It's like, do you know what? Process is not a word that gets talked about.
No.
I remember when the first time that somebody even told me like the word process, or was explaining to me process, and I feel like it was our first year of training. Like I was just smiling and nodding initially, and then I was like, no, I feel like I actually need to know when they keep talking about process, like what are they talking about? And then when they explained like what process is, the penny really dropped.
Yeah.
Like it's the moment to moment, what's actually going on? What's the interaction you are having in that moment, either be it with the other person or the environment that you're in, like what's being created.
Being mindful, like taking stock of everything that's going on. It's like going on a journey, like you're going on a destination, like you're going on holiday. Let's say you're doing this train ride. Sorry, I'm just thinking of like the Orient Express. It's always been a dream of mine to do that.
Has it?
Yeah, or to do like a murder mystery on the train. Anyway, so like you know that you're going to a destination, but actually can you look out the window and appreciate the scenery as you're going by? Can you appreciate like the snacks that you have on the journey, like the conversations you have with the people around you? Can you savor every moment of it? And you might not actually savor every moment of it, but can you actually acknowledge and respect every moment of the process?
Or 3 moments.
Or 3 moments.
Start there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start there. It's reminding me of this like bedtime melody that I used to put on for my kids. And it's called Moshi Monsters, and it's about like this monster gets on a train before bed. And it's like a wind down. So I loved that train analogy because it's like get on that train.
Get on the train, appreciate the journey.
And let the train like take you through your day, through your journey, before
Yeah.
you go to sleep, before you get to your cloud. And what can you appreciate and respect about your day and yourself?
Love that.
Yeah. This has been an energizing one.
It has.
Yeah.
It has, yeah. Thank you, Corporate Baddie.
I love the name.
I hope that's been helpful for you. And I hope it's been helpful for anyone else who's watched and who can really identify with this.
Quite common, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at times I've identified with it. So, yeah. If you have any comments, let us know. Any questions, let us know.
See you in part 2.
Bye.
Bye.